Question number 8, module 1, test 2, module 1. What describes or states the main idea of the text? Now, you want to take an overall picture of the text. You don't want to get too stuck in the details. So here, Mary was a young girl recently found an overgrown hidden garden. Now, if you read through this paragraph, you're going to find that she was determined, she was interested in the garden, she was absorbed in the garden. When she dug and pulled up weeds, she became more pleased. Look at all of these words describing the garden to us. It seemed to her like a fascinating sort of play. And so the last sentence here kind of tells us what the main idea that Mary loves her little garden. She hides in the garden to avoid doing chores, but the garden sounds like chores, and there's nothing here to support that, so A is incorrect. Mary is getting bored with pulling weeds. Of course, this contradicts the passage since she was absorbed by it. She was pleased by it. She viewed it as play. Mary is clearing out the garden to create space to play, but this garden is play for her. She's enjoying it. So we won't say answer C. The best answer here is answer D. She feels satisfied when she takes care of the garden. Look at the words that are used, right? Look at the word usage. Answer B is the best answer. What is the main idea of the text question number 9? If you look at the topic sentence, you're going to find believing that living in an impractical space can heighten awareness and even improve health. It gives us what the filmographer and the scientist did. After 4 years, the filmmaker reported significant health benefits to living in an impractical space. Go through the answer choices. It is unsustainable, not supported, and contradicts the passage. It's the most effective way to create a physically stimulating environment. Physically stimulating? Well, we actually don't know that, right? We know it helps improve health. So we don't know if it's physically stimulating. It makes you want to get up and run and do whatever. As a filmmaker, Yamoka, now here, right? Yamako or Yamaoka. Read it with the first letter. Don't get lost with this. As long as support the designs of conceptual artists such as whatever. This is too broad. It's not about supporting designs. It is more about how living in a fancy place or a nice looking place helps you health-wise. Answer D, although impractical, which is true, the design by Jins and Arawaka have shown to improve well-being of the building's residents. Supported by the topic sentence, supported by the concluding sentence. We're going to go here with answer B. Question number 10. In this poem, the speaker is addressing Paul Laurence Dunbar, a Black author. So obviously you need to read the blurb whenever you go through the text. Why? The blurb does have important information. Thou, with stroke of mighty pen, hast told of joy and mirth, and read the hearts and souls of men as cradled from their birth. The language of the flowers, thou hast read them all, and even the little brook responded to thy call. So we can say that it's about an author who has read the hearts and souls of men. It is an author who understands the language of the flowers because he read them all, and even the little brook responds to his call. So what is the purpose of the text? Why was this text written? So you connect the purpose to the main idea. Answer A, to praise a certain writer. Well, is it praiseful? Well, it does have praising language, right? You can see here with him saying the mighty pen, joy and mirth. You've read the hearts and souls of men. So there is praising happening in this passage. For being especially perceptive, right? Understanding of people and nature. Well, does he understand people? Well, here it says he's read the hearts and souls of men. What about nature? Well, he's read the language of flowers, right? So we can say, well, that's nature. I like answer A. Okay, answer B. So to establish that a certain writer has read extensively about a variety of topics, but with the stroke of a pen as well, right? So it's not just about reading, it's about talking about these things. So answer B would be incorrect. Answer C, to call attention to a certain writer's careful and elaborately detailed writing process. Do we discuss a writing process here? And a writing process entails how something is done. We're not discussing the process, we're discussing the final product, not the process. So answer C is unsupported. D, to recount fond memories of an afternoon in nature. No, right? There's no proof of that, right? So here we're going to say answer A. Question number 11. Which quotation from 2U effectively illustrates the claim? So let's find out this claim, right? The author claims that he deeply understands the reader whom he addresses directly writing, right? So obviously addressed directly, he understands the reader. Our lines need to show this. Answer A, your true soul and body appeared before me. Well, if I tell somebody, well, I see your soul, what does this imply? It implies that I understand the person very well. Correct? Answer A is my answer. Answer B is about location, right? Whoever you are, now I place my hand upon you, that you be my poem. Well, the problem is, whoever you are, right? I place my hand upon you, you be my poem. How does this show us that the reader or the writer understands the reader, right? I don't like answer B. It's not direct enough. It requires leaps of logic to get to an answer choice. Answer C, I should have made my way straight to you long ago. This does not show us he understands the reader deeply, right? And whoever you are, I fear you are walking the walks of dreams. This means, give up on your dreams. So answer D obviously wouldn't work here. These questions, they require us guys to understand what the claim is, because the question is asking us for data from the graph to support the researcher's claim. Your first step is to understand the claim. You wouldn't check answers, because you'll find all of the answers generally are correct with regards to the table, but only one can support the claim. You need to find the claim. You need to summarize that claim. So basically, researchers, they did whatever, and they found that people who speak quickly, right? There are different languages that are spoken very quickly, and some languages that are spoken slowly. So for example, Serbian is a fast spoken language. However, Vietnamese is a slower spoken language. However, these researchers, they found, although there are different rates of speed, the amount of information is roughly the same. Okay, and so where do we get this claim? It's at the end here. Last couple of sentences here. Although languages vary widely in the speed at which they are spoken, the amount of information languages can effectively convey tend to vary much less. Thus, they claim that two languages with very different spoken rates can nonetheless convey the same amount of information. That's what we're looking for in our answer. We're looking for two languages spoken at different rates of speed. However, they convey the same amount of information. And if you look at answer A, for example, Thai and Hungarian have the lowest rates of speech, right? And if you look here, you're going to find Thai and Hungarian, they have some of the lowest rates of speech. And they have the lowest rates of information conveyed. Maybe this is true, right? Maybe this is true. This is according to the table and it's there. However, it doesn't support the claim of the author, which states that although we have different speeds, we convey the same amount of information. So answer A wouldn't work here. And then Hungarian is also not the lowest. Answer B, Vietnamese conveys information approximately the same rate as Spanish, despite spoken at a slower rate. Well, again, if I look at the graph, if I look at the chart, is Vietnamese slower than, Spanish, right? Vietnamese 5.3, Spanish 7.7. Yeah, right, Vietnamese is slower. This is true. Do they convey roughly the same or approximately the same amount of information? They do. Does it support the author's claim that although we have different speeds, the same amount of information is given? Yes, as well. My answer is B. Now, if you look at the other answer choices, same issues, right? The language that's spoken the fastest is also the language that conveys information the fastest. So 7.7, I think it's Spanish, right, with a 42. It's not the fastest, by the way. So no, right? Serbian Spanish are spoken at the same rate. Well, again, let's do black. Serbian and Spanish are about the same rate. Yeah, maybe. But Serbian conveys information faster than Spanish does, right? Actually, no. Serbian is slower. But even if it were true, it still doesn't support the author's claim. So before you check your answer choices, make sure you understand that claim. And how do you do that? By doing a small little rewording or summary. You have to be very careful with question number 13. You have to understand what is required. Don't automatically assume what is required in the question without actually reading the question first, right? So here, we read the paragraph, lizards and spiders. Some dude puts, lizards and spiders together in a cage. And so basically this scientist concluded that the reduction, or student concluded that the reduction in the spider population count in the enclosure with lizards by day 30 was entirely attributable to the presence of lizards, right? Excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Malik. So here, basically, the author is telling us, or the student is telling us, the spiders, they've experiment. You see there's a decline there. And so he's telling us that the lizards were the reason the spiders declined, right? Or the lizards were the reason why there are a few amount of spiders. Great. Can we read the question now? Which describes data that weakens, right, the student's conclusion. We need opposite of that information now. Answer A. The spider population count was the same in both enclosures by day 1. Well, this is true, but it doesn't weaken. We need information that tells us the decline in spiders is not due to lizards. Answer B. The spider population count, let me make a little different color here, also substantially declined by day 30 in the enclosure without lizards. Well, if you look at no lizards, right, and with lizards, both of them decline. So here, the answer B does weaken the author's conclusion or the student's conclusion. Why? Because without lizards, they also declined. And with lizards, they declined. So we cannot say that it was the lizards that caused a decline in spider population. C, the largest decline in spider population count in the enclosure occurred between 1 and 10. Although this is true, does it weaken? No. So don't just choose what is true. You have to choose what is required. Enter D. The spider population count on day 30 was lower in the enclosure with lizards than the enclosure without lizards. This is true as well. But does that weaken the conclusion that the decline in spiders was because of the lizards? No, because without the lizards, they also greatly decline. That's why we say answer B, it weakens the student's conclusion.